How's everybody doing today? This is Detroit Sports World, baby. My name is Maurice Lewis. Yo, I want to talk about something that has been a hot topic. The future of Stan Van Gundy as the Detroit Pistons head coach. Should he get an extension or should he get fired? Listen, I'm going to give you my take on things. First things first, though, I want everybody to realize this. Stan Van Gundy, the first couple years that he's been with the Detroit Pistons, it has been unfair to him how he's inherited a horrible roster because of Joe Dumars. You can thank him. But let's just talk about those things first. Josh Smith and Greg Monroe, those guys were kind of cancers to the team. They didn't mix well with Andre Drummond at all. And Stan Van Gundy had to revamp that roster. So one of the things he did was he let Greg Monroe go, which that was a mistake. Obviously, we should have got something for him. He took a qualifying offer, making him an unrestricted free agent. And Josh Smith, we pretty much cut him, and we owed him a ton of money because he signed a deal worth like $60 million. So we had to deal with those things first. And then Stan Van Gundy, hey, sent Caron Butler to Milwaukee to get Ersan Ilyasova, which that was a good move, even though Milwaukee was trying to do a salary dump. But Stan Van Gundy wanted to try to win now. And then later on, he trades Ersan Ilyasova and Brandon Jennings for Tobias Harris, which that was probably the best move he could ever do later down the road. But the best move he ever made as a salary best choice was getting Marcus Morris for really cheap. It was a salary dump for the Suns because they were trying to chase after LaMarcus Aldridge. So he ended up getting those guys, Danny Granger, which they ended up cutting him, Danny Granger, Marcus Morris, and Reggie Bullock, which we're utilizing. So then later on down the road, hey, we're panicking. We're not winning games. We only made it to the playoffs. This is Stan Van Gundy's fourth year. We've only made it to the playoffs one time, and that was the 8th seed, and we got blown out and swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that was the only time we made the playoffs during the Stan Van Gundy era. And so, like, now we're in this situation where we're panicking because we're amongst the league in the top salary caps, and we're paying guys a lot of money for producing less. And, hey, Reggie Jackson, who we got in a trade for DJ Augustine and Kyle Singler. You know, that was a good trade for nothing too that Stan Van Gundy did. But everything isn't working, and Stan Van Gundy has put us in a situation where he's gotten Blake a superstar, and that's awesome. But look what we had to give up in order to get him. Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, which they traded to Boston for a guy like Marcus Morris. Avery Bradley, Tobias Harris, we got rid of a first-round pick, second-round pick, and now we have no draft picks at all. It's crazy. We have nothing to look forward to the future, and we're sitting at the 9th spot in the Eastern Conference, and since the Blake trade, yeah, we were 5-0 until we lost, and now we're on a 2-game losing streak. So, just looking down the road in the future, what is Stan Van Gundy's future for the Detroit Pistons? And it's not looking so hot. There's no question that when it comes to X's and O's and strategies, that Stan Van Gundy's probably one of the best coaches, but he's horrible when it comes to relationships with players. And so far, being the president and the coach, you have not put the right team together. And being that you're a president, and you know what? I will say this. Being the president sometimes does not work out when it comes to coaching because you're coaching a guy, you're coaching a player that you can get rid of. So if I'm a player, why would I want to play for a guy like you and you want to trade me? You know? So it's just one of those things where Stan Van Gundy has a lot of control over the team and is not going well at all. So should Stan Van Gundy still remain with the Detroit Pistons? Honestly, after this season, if Stan Van Gundy does not make the playoffs, if he does not make the playoffs, I'm going to say, you know what? Your time is over. You should go somewhere else. Maybe go to college where you could probably be a better coach because you like to be a little bit more in control of things rather than letting other people do things for you. Hey, it is what it is, but it ain't working. The 4 and out ain't working. The motion plays obviously aren't working because teams are catching on to that, and always doing a pick and roll offense isn't working either. So what are you going to do? You don't have the right necessarily players to make it to the top level, and this is on you, Stan Van Gundy. Nobody else, because you make the decisions. You're the president. You sign off on all of whatever it is that happens before it happens, you know? But you got rid of a really good player in Tobias Harris, who's a starter in this league, who was averaging 19 points, close to what Blake is making, which was about 20, 21, 24 points a game. And you got rid of one of the best defenders in the league in Avery Bradley. But also, one of the better two-way players you got rid of was Marcus Morris, which dearly hurt me. So, and you're not winning games right now. Little Caesars Arena isn't selling. So what do? You make a coaching change. You have to. And you might even have to make a coaching change as far as a management change as far as the general manager when it comes to that. So I'm just saying, guys, you're hearing it from me. But I think if Stan Van Gundy does not make the playoffs, he shouldn't be coaching for the Pistons anymore. Or he should resign as a coach still and then be a president and find another guy to coach the team. So you heard it from me. My name is Maurice Lewis. You can follow me on all social medias. By the way, I am going to the game tonight. The Pistons play the Pelicans at home. You can find me behind the bench, first row, sitting with the family of the Pistons and by the players. So, yo, if you see me, holler at me. I'm out.